Welcome to episode 63, and today I'm joined by the one and only Gerard Turbitt. Gerard, you're very welcome onto the podcast.
Thank you.
Gerard, we talk about triathlon being an endurance sport. Well, I've got a new endurance sport is chasing you to get you onto this podcast because
I'm sorry.
There's been a few messages and a few hints and a few approaches at various events and leisure centres and training things and whatnot, but you've finally caved in. And I'm delighted that you've decided to join me today.
Thank you.
I want to start off, Gerard. You have a brilliant CV when it comes to triathlon, and I'm very, very excited about looking at that. But let's go back in time. It's all about the journey. This podcast celebrates those journeys. So I want you to divulge what you feel safe enough divulging about your journey, Gerard. I think we'll probably go back to the school days. You might have been in school actually with my dad.
He was the year above me, yes.
There you are.
Yeah, I remember. I remember your dad very well. I don't know why, but the Christian Brothers Grammar School was a different school now to what it was then. But it was okay. I liked it, but I didn't like it. If that makes sense, okay, you know.
I think
tolerated it.
That falls under the category, if you know, you know.
I stayed out of harm's way, but I know a few people that didn't, and that annoys me even today. But that's another story, okay?
Oh, absolutely. So, what about yourself at school? Were you the sporty chap at school?
I was short-sighted, very short-sighted. I wore glasses, and for that reason, as your dad will be the first to know, you were either a footballer or a football category, or you were nothing. There was nothing else, okay, with the Christian Brothers. I tell a lie, there might have been, when Brother McFarlane came, there was a debating society. And I remember Billy McCrory was very good at it, but God rest him too. But because of my glasses, you weren't picked, full stop, okay? So yeah. At school, I did nothing. I went to university, and when I came home from university in 1978, or home to Oma, the running craze was just starting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I vividly remember on our honeymoon, we were in London, and literally the first ever either 5 or 10K, I think it was 10K race in Hyde Park was taking place that day, okay?
Yeah.
So fast forward to 1981, 82, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people did marathons, basically. The Joe Blogs were doing marathons, okay? So I entered 4 marathons in 2 years, and they were London, New York, Dublin, and Belfast.
Unbelievable.
All right? And by today's standards, you know, all of them were better than 3:30, but you weren't considered a good runner unless you did sub 3 hours, basically. So I got bored. I was married, and Bill McCausland, I'll remember, tackled me one day maybe at the leisure centre and said, well, what about doing triathlon? And I mean, I knew, actually had known, I'd heard about triathlon, I'd heard about Ironman triathlon. Ireland triathlon was totally embryonic in the early 80s. The distances were ad hoc. You could have as we now know, swim, bike, run. But in those days, it could have been easily, it could have been the bike first, the swim second, and the run last.
Right,
it could be the run first. It could be, and the distances were totally ad hoc as well. You could have 2 miles, you could have 5 miles, you could have 10 miles, you could have anything. One thing I do remember vividly was most swims were pool based, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I vividly remember that if they were outside in Lough Erne, for example, okay? One day I was in Lough Erne, right? You were only allowed to wear your Speedos. The triathlon was beginning to take place in Ireland, and Conor Callaghan, who's a Belfast man, he'd be older than me, at least 10 years older than me, maybe 15 years older than me. I think he's still alive as well, but he took it upon himself to start an official Ireland Triathlon Association. And as I explained to you before we talked, I was at one of the early meetings of that Triathlon Association. I was at the second meeting. I have recorded minutes that I was there. It was up in House of Sport in Belfast. But my journey then, well, I loved it. I loved those couple of years. I mean, and I remember I couldn't even swim at the start of this. I mean, look, we had no pool in those areas, and whenever I was a child, you learned to swim in the river, and my mother and father weren't very happy with that either. Okay,
like Huckleberry Finn.
I learned to swim, but for 2 years I did it. I enjoyed it. I loved it, but pressure of home. I had a growing family. I had a growing job. I just stopped basically, and I didn't do anything apart from an odd skiing holiday, an odd time in the pool for the next 27 years.
Right, a 27-year hiatus.
Correct, and I did nothing. Fast forward to 2011, Oma Triathlon Club had just been formed, maybe the year or two beforehand, by Peter Skeffington, etc. And Sean Healy met me actually one day. I remember meeting him one Sunday. He says, "Oh, you got to do a triathlon." I says, "I can't do a triathlon because I can't even run. I can't even." I actually went on the skiing holiday in 2011, I think it was 2010, and I came back from it in agony. Basically, I pulled my muscle in my back. I went for scans. I was told, "Don't do this, don't do that, and definitely don't run, and you might need surgery." My two brothers actually had surgery around the same time, and I just thought, I'm going to be squandered here. Yeah. But anyway, my wife was dead against surgery, so I went to the gym. I got stronger, and I just put myself down to do the inaugural 2011 Oma Try the Lock in Loch McCrory. I had never swam open water in a mass start like that before, which it was. Yeah. I'd never swam with a wetsuit. I got a bike with cleats the night before. John Conway.
Yeah.
So I was really terrible. I was terrible. and I actually nearly called for help by the time I got to the first buoy, because I just thought, this is crazy. This is madness. But I settled my head and I got rounded. I got stuck in one gear as well. I remember that. Albert Law went flying past me, and I thought, oh, sugar. I remember that vividly. Anyway, I crossed the line, and the man says I was hooked. I literally was hooked. And a year later, I ended up buying a bike. I ended up doing Mullaghmore. And for a couple of years, 2011, 2012, 2013, I had a brother died in 2013, which sort of caused me a bit of a problem.
It would do, yeah.
And he died suddenly. But having said that, the triathlon was my saving grace, because it brought me back out of my shell again, and it helped me a lot. But I only did sprint races. I only did Olympic races, and I only did Ireland, basically in Ireland. All right. But by 2015, and I always think that 2015 is an important year, because I just decided I am going to. I told nobody. I told very few people. I said to myself, I'm going to do a long distance race. And obviously I knew time was against me. So I literally did a double Olympic in Athy in June. I did a half distance in July and Athlone, and I did a full distance 2015 in Copenhagen, and that was my first Ironman as a 62-year-old man.
Unbelievable.
And 12 and a half hours, less than 12 and a half hours, under 12 and a half hours. I have it sitting here beside me, actually, with a medal.
And that's the bit for me that I find remarkable. And it's the idea that you're never too old to make a change and to get after something and to do an Ironman. Like I thought whenever I did it, I picked it, and everybody knows my reasons whenever I turned 50, but to do it at 62 for your first one, to do Copenhagen inside a year, tell me about your preparation for that with regards to sort of training.
Sean Healy helped me, okay? He helped me big time. I just swam, cycled, I just ran, I just upped the ante every time he said to do it. I've been very good. I've been very religious about going to yoga. I now do Pilates. I eat well, I sleep well most of the time. And I think all those things together help. I actually do think, and as you get older, trust me, big time, the cross training effect is an uber important because if you're just running, if you're just one thing, you become stale very very quick. I think you become stale very quickly. All right. Whereas with the triathlon training, you don't. I don't. In fact, I came home from Copenhagen. I said never, as you say, when you cross the line, you feel never, ever, ever again. But I missed the training. I didn't miss the pain of the day, but I missed the training.
Yes.
So I retired. I mean, I make no excuse of it. I just instantly retired on the thought of, well, it wasn't just the triathlon. It was the fact that my brothers had died, my father died very young. It was a combination of jigsaw pieces, but they all came together, and I just decided I'm going to just enjoy my life. And I walked out of the dental surgery, and I have never looked back. I'm proud of that as well. Actually, I'm proud of that.
Absolutely. And I admire that too, Jared. And there's a lesson in there for us all. You get to choose your path. You get to write yourself your own story, and you can be the master of your own destiny. And if you're content and happy as Larry sitting in your 9 to 5, and a lot of us probably need to be in that position for bills and whatnot, but if you have an opportunity to take a punt and take a chance and live and let your hair down, why the hell not?
Well, people have asked me, should I retire? Should I retire? And if you love your job, and if you have nothing else to do, then you should stay at your job, no matter what, albeit maybe 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 2 days a week, whatever. But if you don't like your job, and I wasn't liking my job, if you have something else to do, and I knew I had something else to do, go for it, as you say, go for it, and I did.
That must have been the beginning of your sort of journey into what would be then come a very, very glorious period.
I have to be honest with you. 16, maybe not, but definitely 17, 18, and 19. 2017, 18, and 2019. I really, 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 really enjoyed myself. You can see from my records that I did 4 Ironmans in 2 years. Lanzarote, Wales, and you've done Lanzarote, I think, yeah, yes.
I have, yeah.
1. So you can imagine Lanzarote, Wales in 1 year, Lanzarote, Wales,
yeah,
the year after. I actually like doing them because they're big, they're scary, and plus the fact that the second time round you know what you're letting yourself into as well. Okay, so it's actually, believe it or not, I found them easier the second time than I did the first time.
Aye, because you're able to maybe prepare a wee bit more for it, and the bits that you maybe struggled on, or
possibly. I'm not conscious that I did, but I probably did. Yeah, I probably did. Yeah.
And I suppose as time goes on too, with your consistency, and the word consistency is the word that I associate with you, Jared, because
well, actually, you've hit on a word that I do use a lot.
You certainly do.
Consistency. There's no. I don't consider myself anything magical. I mean, I do consider myself lucky, as Miguel has many times told me. They're all dead my age group. Okay, so it's easy for me to win, but I have to be consistent to be there. I mean, you have to put yourself on the line. You have to be at the start line of every race, and it's only consistency. And as you get older, your body does give up a wee bit, but I have been consistent. I have lost some of that consistency in the last couple of years, I feel, but I still am fairly consistent for my age. Okay,
absolutely, 100%. And your roll of honor reflects that, you know,
Well, okay.
exceptionally well.
Again, I keep repeating they're all dead in my age group. Well, no, there's a few punters, but when it comes to long distance, there's not too many of them around in my age group that want the pain of a long distance race in Ireland anyway.
Jared, with the greatest of respect, there's a lot of people in your age group that couldn't throw their leg over a bike. There's a lot of people that need help to stand up, to get up and down from their seats. There's a
Well,
lot of
yeah,
people
but
that,
to be fair,
so for you to be able to do what you do at your age is testament to the man you are, testament to the regime, your fitness, your commitment, and your consistency, your diet, your sleep, your yoga, your Pilates, all them things. It's no coincidence. It's not a genetic hit. It's because you've done the work, you've put the time in, and you're reaping the benefits of it. You know, if you're ever looking for an advertisement for the benefits of sport and a healthy lifestyle, you know, you're the guy that I look up to. It's men like you that inspire guys like me, who are maybe 20 years or more below you. um, I want to be a Gerard Turbitt. I'm not. I don't have any other aspirations other than to be able to do what you do when I'm in your age group category. So,
well, there'll be a lot. There'll be a lot less in the 50 age category. I'll tell you that, because age does. And yes, I am lucky. I am lucky in that I'm able to do what I do, and I be the first to admit that. I'll be the
mhm.
first to admit that. Okay, and I love what I do. I get like you name me any triathlete who's not frustrated with themselves about what they do and what they don't do, and I don't do this and I should do that, but I have to catch myself on sometimes, and when I
Oh,
do, I do say, that wasn't bad, that wasn't bad to do that, or whatever, whatever
I have
you
a lot.
see.
Yeah, I like using the wee phrase. If I've gone out for a run and I haven't felt good about it, I'll begin the process of analyzing it and maybe beating myself up, but I'll very very quickly remind myself that a bad run is better than no run.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
So
absolutely. And we all, no matter what age you are, we all have to do that. I think maybe more so as you get older, but definitely we all have to do that. Okay.
100%. So look, let's have a wee chat about where your triathlon journey took you. So if we go back to you've retired early,
Yeah.
you've put your life into triathlon now, healthy lifestyle, longevity, live long and prosper, and all that sort of stuff. Triathlon starts coming and going, coming and going. 2015, you've Copenhagen ticked off. What's on the horizon then as you move through those years?
After Copenhagen, I have to be honest with you. Although I did not say the word Kona, I used the word K, the K word. That's what I called it. And after, not the first time, the second time I did Lanzarote, I'll always remember Owen Martin. And Owen Martin, there's nobody in Ireland has done more Kona expeditions than he has, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know whether you know Owen Martin or not, but Owen Martin is from Uri direction, all right? Or Camlock direction. But he has done more. And he just said to me, I remember the two of us were going on the same plane from home, from Lanzarote, and he said, and I just got third.
Uh-huh.
So I'd missed the slot. The guy who was first did not take it, so the guy who was second took it, and he only beat maybe a couple of minutes. Okay, so I was a couple of
Yeah.
minutes basically from getting the slot, and he says to me, he says it's not if you'll get one, it's just when you'll get a slot. Okay, you'll get a slot eventually.
Brilliant.
And a week later, I met Oliver Harkin, who was at Crooked Lake. I said to him, I really, really want to qualify for Kona, but the the race that we agreed that maybe we would possibly go for would be to repeat myself in Wales. The only
Uh-huh.
problem was the Wales race was 1 week, literally, after I was doing the 70.3 World Championships in South Africa.
Right. Okay.
So in 2018, the 2nd of September, I did the 70.3. I said to him, he looked at me and he said, I don't know. I said, well, look, a week before I'm doing an Ironman, if I was doing a 2K swim, you wouldn't be too fussed, would you? And he said, no. And I would be, I'm doing a 90K cycle, you wouldn't be too fussed. No. I said, I said to him, I promise I'll not run hard. So I genuinely did the, this is the truth. Now, this is the truth. I
Yeah.
did the 70.3 in Port Elizabeth, and I came 7th in my age group
Brilliant.
in 2018 on the 2nd of September. A week later, on the wed, everybody in the club knew I was doing that race, but nobody in the club, bar one person, knew I was doing the Ironman the following week.
Right, okay. A
I told
stealth
no,
move.
I told nobody. They thought I was lacing it up. So I
Aye.
came home. On the Wednesday, got my gear all washed up, and left Oma on the Thursday. Arrived in Wales, Tenby, on the Friday morning, and the only person who picked up was Darren Lagan. He said something like, he says, are you in Tenby? He had picked up somewhere, I don't know, he must have seen. I said, please tell nobody. And the
Well,
first,
eagle eyes lagging, eh?
and I qualified. I won my age group the next day,
Unbelievable. That's
and
fantastic.
so I qualified for Kona, and that was the pinnacle of my career. It
You were
wasn't the pinnacle of my career, to be honest with you.
at that time.
I did I did 2019 Kona, and
Yeah.
2019 was a good year. I probably was as fit then as I've ever been in my life. Okay,
Yeah.
COVID unfortunately came. Kona was an unbelievable experience because I mean I was the first from Oma to do it. It was an unbelievable experience. I think it is hyped. It's a hyped race. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But it's magical. For a 1 week, 10 days beforehand, it is a great place to be. It's a great place to be.
How did you cope with the change in the climate then?
I really, really, really prepared very well for Kona, and I took it very, very seriously. That's a good thing about qualifying from Wales. You literally have a 1 year, 1 full year to prepare your body, as opposed to some races where, for example, a Copenhagen race, you literally qualify in August and you race in October. If that makes sense,
Aye.
okay?
Yes, I know what you
So
mean. Yeah.
whereas I was qualifying in September and racing in October the following year. So I
Yeah.
had a full
Got you.
year to recover. So I had plenty of time. I mean, near the end, a good trainer will make you do a full day's rehearsal. I
Yeah.
mean, I did two two say 3 kilometer swim in the leisure centre. Came home, had a quick breakfast, turned the heater on,
Yeah.
and I did 4.5 hours on a turbo trailer.
Jesus.
I had no problem. And then I put my clothes on and went back to the leisure centre, up to the treadmill for 2.5 hours, 26K.
I heard about that. I heard that you were doing that. I can't
And
remember who told me.
can I tell you big time?
Uh huh.
There comes a part. Kona is not the hardest race of all. I think Wales and Lanzarote is harder than Kona, but Kona is a very hard race because of the humidity, because of the heat, because of the wind. And if you're Irish, you're struggling big time in those conditions.
Aye.
And there's a point you do the run, and you're basically in the town environs. You have all these people shouting how great you are, looking good, dude, and all that. You go up Pellini Hill, you turn left onto the Queen's Highway, and then you have 10, 15 miles of pure hell because the
Unbelievable.
heat and everything gets you. But there's no spectators allowed. There's very, very few spectators. But I was struggling at one point, and I just needed two things. I needed a kick up the backside. I needed Coke. I needed Coke big time, and I
Yeah.
got me Coke. And I then kept saying to myself, "This is no different than a half an hour. The next half hour is like the leisure centre
Uh-huh.
treadmill. You just slog it out, and I slogged it out. And in fact, believe it or not, it is my quickest time, Kona. My
Is that
quickest
right?
Ironman time is actually Kona, believe it or not. Not much, mind you, but it is my Kona time.
There's not too many people can say that because, as you've already alluded, a lot of people struggle out there with the conditions.
I loved it to bits,
Uh-huh.
but it is tough. It's mentally a hard race. It's a hard race. And of course, Ironman do a good show, and they 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 sell it well, but it is a very good. I love it. I love it to bits.
I've heard a lot of people say that after you've done an Ironman, particularly the year after you do an Ironman, you'll find that you'll do really well when you go back into your regular races and your regular runs and stuff. And I suppose that's reflected quite well if we start to look at your sort of roll of honor, because I have in front of me here your 2019 roll of honor, which took you to Kona in October, but in the run up to that, you had won the national series
Yeah,
in your duathlons. Is that right?
yeah.
You came sixth overall in your age group for Ironman 70.3 Mallorca.
Actually,
Um,
when I did Kona, I came home and I met the guys at the airport at Belfast Airport a week later and did the 70.3. Came second in Pagera, and then a week later I did the Dublin Marathon in
that's
under
right,
four
yeah.
in under 4 hours.
And you came second and challenged
Yeah,
Pagera rather, and that was a week after doing Kona.
yeah. I
Straight out
travelled
and
around
came
half the
second in
world
your
as
age
well.
group category. Unreal. It's the local race scene, Jared, for me that that you have pretty much dominated it. I mean, for quite a while. Um,
What does Miguel say? They're all dead. My age group.
well, let him say what he wants. Let's see how he's doing if he reaches your age group category, and then he can boast. But look, to be coming first in all of these races over and over and over again, I want to just tap into what kept you going. Because if you subscribe to McGill's philosophy in that there's no competition, then you're just turning up to win a medal. But the reality of it is very different.
As I said it before, I just enjoy the training, and I just enjoy. And to be fair, because there's not that many of my age group, we know each other very, very well, and we're good mates. I would like to think we're good mates. Okay,
Yeah.
and I just love it. I love the whole thing.
In 24, 23, possibly before that, I remember a few photographs of you being shared in the Oma Triathlon in the WhatsApp group. And there was a photograph of you with maybe 7 medals.
Yes, I got seven. I got 7 goals at Triathlon Ireland. Yeah, yeah.
Can you remember what they were all for? Just
Oh, I
because just
do.
I want to
Yeah.
hear you telling us out loud.
It was a good year for me because obviously it's my first. It's like all triathletes. We love the first year you're in the age group, so you're the young kid on the block as opposed to being there for 3 or 4 years. Okay,
Yeah.
so I won the duathlon championship. I won the duathlon series. I won the championship races of the sprint, the Olympic, and the half distance. All right.
Uh huh.
I also won the national series, and I won something else. I forget what it is actually. No, the aquabike.
Aquabike. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Um.
seven.
And
Now
and
since that, I've the year that's 2023, 2024. I only came away with 5. Okay, I wasn't able to do one of the championship races, and I didn't do the national series duathlon. So
Uh-huh.
that's what lost me the two. And
But
then
what you also did in 2024 outside of the triathlon scene was Omaha Half Marathon, which you
well,
came first in your age group.
it's only well, to be fair, yes. I actually looked at no it's just a training day,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Just a training day.
But you also did the 70.3 in Marbella,
Yeah, and I
which
love that.
again, first.
Yes,
There's a
and
theme here, Jared. There's a lot of the theme is that you're pretty unbeatable.
ah,
For a couple of years there, for a couple of years now, you were coming first. A few seconds here and there, a few slips. 2025, I suppose.
yeah, well,
This
I got
year,
a couple of seconds, but I'll take that.
you'll
I'll
take
take
that
that.
absolutely for God's sake,
I'll take it
100%.
gladly, gladly.
Um, I want to just bring you up to 2025 because there was the competition in Pamplona. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, yeah. I actually I went into that race carrying an injury, and I
It was
was,
Europeans, wasn't it?
eh?
A European.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. European. It's a repeat of my 2014 or 2014 when I went to Kitzbühel. It's the European as well, and
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed that. And I went for the sprint distance, but this was I was initially going to go to do the middle distance race, but I wasn't running very well, so I decided to and I asked, and there was no problem. I got it changed to the aqua bike, so I just did the bike, and it was a hard day, but I came second, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I did. I enjoyed that day actually.
No, in the triathlon Ireland aquabike, you came first in it locally. National series, you came first at Triathlon Olympic, the two provinces sprint, the Tri Tyrone medal, and then you had 2 seconds at the Beyond the Wall sprint and the Jailbreak Olympic.
Yeah,
Um, Overall, then in 25, you picked up the silver medal for the national series and a tally of 3 golds and 1 silver.
yeah.
Um, Unbelievable. Of course, also significant in 2025, you were one of the many OTC crew that
Yes.
took on Copenhagen, and you had been there before, Jared. So how did you find it second time round? Well, there was a lot of water under the bridge, pardon the pun, when you went
Yes,
back to Copenhagen.
yes, there was. I actually love going back to races because you've been there, you've done it, and because of that, the logistics aren't challenging. Well, aren't as challenging. Okay,
Yeah,
uh, Copenhagen, they are challenging enough because it's a split transition. But again, Copenhagen is a special race because it's a very good race. It's a great race for the broad range of athletes because it's not too hard. Look, any long distance race is hard. Okay, don't get me wrong, but there are
aye,
ones that are harder than others. All right,
yeah,
and Copenhagen. I mean, this year, next year, it's sold out within 48 hours.
that's right.
That's how popular it has become.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, going back 10 years ago, you could have probably got an entry. I think no, maybe early, but you could have got an entry like 2 months before the race.
Aye, yeah, yeah,
Whereas now it's sold out literally in 48 hours.
it's
So it's
unreal.
become a very, very popular race. And they they put them on a great show. The Dutch, or the Danes, shall we say.
Aye,
They put on a great show, and it is a good race. I enjoyed that day, yeah, yeah. And
I,
and when you're part of a team, it's brilliant.
I think the thing for me that makes it so popular, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it, but my view is that it's this swim that appeals to people. Because the more people that I've spoken to, the more people, and yourself included, would have initially thought, I can't really swim that well, so triathlon isn't for me. And whenever you go up to that 3.8 kilometers, it's a daunting swim if you're going to be tackling it for your first time ever. And you're going to be tackling open water. I think the Copenhagen swim, with it being so sheltered
It
and
is. It
protected,
is.
is probably the reason why a lot of people want to take it on as their first. What do you
You
think?
can guarantee it. It will always be a wetsuit swim. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's number one. All right, it will always be a wetsuit swim, but because it's in a lagoon, basically 95% of it is in the lagoon area.
Uh-huh.
It is totally protected, so it's you'll not get messed about big time.
Aye.
Okay, on it.
Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
example, Cork a few years ago, it was a terrible day.
Yeah.
You will not be messed about in Copenhagen, and for that reason, it a lot of people put it is the swim. It is the scary part. Okay, for a lot of
Uh-huh.
people,
Totally.
and
Totally.
when you know the swim is not going to overly challenge you, why not?
You still love the swimming, Jared. You're a man who doesn't miss swim. Your swim week in, week out. You're there every Monday night, every Wednesday morning, and maybe an odd Friday morning too. And you probably have noticed I'm not there at all. I haven't been in the pool. I don't think for about a year. Um,
Um,
what is it about the swimming that floats your boat, as it were?
I like to be honest with you. People have said to you, "What's your favorite? What's your favorite?" And my normal answer to that is, I'm average at everything. I'm not. What are you best at? And I am not. I probably have a wee bit better endurance than the average Joe Blogs of my age, but I'm not a good swimmer. I'm not a brilliant runner. I'm not a brilliant biker. I'm just average. But if I was to do one and only one exercise, it probably would be the swimming. Why do I like the swimming? I think the swimming is a perfect exercise. I think it is at least the way we swim. It's endurance. It is um, you get a great workout. You get it's non-weight bearing.
Yeah.
Uh, and actually, you say I'm always there. Well, part of the reason I'm always there because well, I don't mean unfortunately. It's just evolved that I do this. Michael Holland might do the sets, but it's me that prints them off.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's me that I have told the committee I'm happy to do the sign on. So
Uh-huh.
I'm the consistent person that they have,
Yeah.
and I don't mind it at all.
Consistent by name, consistent by nature, eh?
Consistency. I am sorry to repeat that word, but that's yeah, it is
No,
consistency.
never apologize for repeating that word, because that word resonated with me, Jared, so much. Particularly whenever I was preparing myself for my first ever Ironman back in 23, and I spoke to yourself alongside many of the other experienced triathletes in OMA, and your advice rung true to me, and it made so much sense, and it's something that I still subscribe to. It's consistency, consistency, consistency. I'll never forget how you said it. Just
There,
those.
there. To be honest with you, I know it's old hat, but I genuinely do believe you don't have to be anything special athlete wise, but if you're consistent in your training, and if your training is consistent by nature, but in that you're able to put up the load and then come back a bit, put up the load and then come back a bit. But if you can do that consistently, I honestly think anybody can do an Ironman.
Absolutely.
Anybody.
Um, totally. I was going to
If
ask
you've
for
got the
your.
willpower and the consistency, you'll do it. And going back to Copenhagen, there's a lot of first timers there, and it's no shock to me that those that did well are consistent with their training.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I was going to ask you about your advice for others. You've already answered that, I think, in true fashion. But
It's
what I was wondering was, you had said earlier on, whenever we were talking about Kona, you said it was your crowning glory, but then you went, actually no, it wasn't. It was the highlight. But then you said, actually no, it wasn't. If
what was
Kona
my
wasn't
highlight.
your highlight, what was your highlight?
I think, in all honesty, the I'm not one to boast, but the event that I am most proud of was being fourth in Latte at the World Championship 70.3 in
Uh-huh.
73. It was okay.
Yeah.
I actually, I really, really loved that day. I literally went to the wire in terms of, I could not, I burnt my last match when I crossed that line.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I remember vividly Joanne Murphy happened to congratulate me as I crossed the line. And within 3 minutes, within 2 minutes, she was actually getting a paramedic for me because she thought I was dead.
He thought you had tapped out altogether.
She thought I had gone. Uh, but 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 once I realised I was fourth in my age group, I was Niall McDermott was there. He'd
Uh-huh.
always remember the occasion that I found out I was fourth, and I was never going to be first or second. I'd always hoped I would be in the top five
Uh-huh.
in Ironman World Championship races. You make the podium if you're a top five,
Yeah.
not three. So you might think fourth is a terrible position, but I knew it was top five. I had to be in the fifth position, and to be
Brilliant.
fourth, I was over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. Okay,
Yeah, I
and
remember us. We were all following that on the tracker. It was brilliant.
it was my probably my best day in terms of, and I struggled on the bike because I remember vividly when I left transition T1, the weather forecast was dull, but it rained consistently, and by the time I got off the bike, I was really cold.
Uh-huh.
And I don't do cold very well. I just
Aye.
don't do cold. I actually perform better in heat than I do in cold. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, apart from Roth, I've done apart from Roth in the heat, which I didn't do well. I do better in hot conditions than I do in cold conditions. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was so cold, but I just knuckled down, and the run was just class. I loved it. I remember passing a few guys and thinking, unfortunately, when you look for guys who've got grey hair and no hair, and I passed a few guys, and I held on to my fourth place, and I was over the moon, absolutely over the moon.
It was an amazing thing to be able to sit back and watch, and the vibe in the club after it, and the messages banging through on the WhatsApp, it's well
Thank
exciting.
you, thank
It's
you.
brilliant, brilliant stuff. Um, just with that sort of theme in mind, Oma Triathlon Club is, we've talked about it before on the podcast. It's something quite special, and we just like our wee kind of brand. What does the club mean to you? You're a very, very central figure within the club. You obviously do a lot behind the scenes for the club. You've already said that you're the man with the sign-on sheet and you're printing out the bits and bobs for the swim drills and stuff. It's an important thing for you, and I suppose the club's a richer club for having you in it. What's your views on the club?
They Anybody who does triathlon on their own is losing out big time, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be part of a club. There's I think Oma Club is brilliant. I think it's not too big, it's not too small. It's just a lovely size. There are no egos in it. I think it's fantastic. There's always, you can guarantee that if I don't know the answer, somebody will know the answer. All right,
Mm-hmm.
for every question you have, because we're all learning. We're all learning, and you just tap your knowledge. You tap your question off somebody, and if they, as I say, if they can't answer it, they for sure will know somebody who can. Okay, uh, I I've said it. and it's a word that I've used a lot, but I maybe not have used it as much in the last few years. But when I was in Kona, uh, the word of the event that year was Ohana.
Mm-hmm.
And Ohana, if you look up, is a Maori word, and it means uh, family.
Yeah.
And Oma Triathlon Club is my Ohana.
That's
That's all I
lovely.
really want to say.
No, that's just a nice way of rounding it up. Just before we break up, um, anything in the pipeline for 2026? Or
Um,
are you at liberty to divulge such plans? Because
believe it
there's a
or
bit of
not,
a sneakiness in you, like maybe you don't wanna.
by this time, by Christmas of the end of a year, I I have usually this last 7 years, if you forget COVID, I would know roughly what I want to do. And believe it or not, this year, for different reasons, and they're more personal and they're nothing to do with triathlon, I haven't yet got a plan, and I don't like that. I do not like that. I will very quickly, and maybe this podcast will probably be the momentum that I need to get me off my butt. I still train, but I have slackened off a wee bit, and I don't feel the better of it at all.
Aye.
I need to be doing something. I am better doing something, which is basically what drives me in the first place.
Yeah.
So you asked the question, what am I doing for 2026? At the minute, honestly, I have nothing on paper,
Mm-hmm.
but I have a few ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few ideas. That's all I'll say.
But you'll enjoy the training, and you'll keep chipping away, as I like to say, and
I
you'll not be too far away from being in a position to say, okay, do you know what, I will sign up for that one, or yes, I will sign up for that one. You leave yourself in a way that you're not that out of shape that that you wouldn't have too long to catch up.
I don't think I'm out of shape, but old age is catching up on me. But having said that, it's all relative. It's all relative. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and I am more than happy to do what I'm doing for as long as possible. And yes, every year is a bonus, basically. And Oma Triathlon Club, my Ohana, big time.